April 26th. We're going to have a double header on our training today. This first half of the call will be about how to pick the low-hanging fruit. And by low-hanging fruit, what I'm talking about is replacement insurance policies, because it should be a no-brainer to be able to sell living benefits to people that have the old-fashioned kind of policies, which is almost everybody out there. So we're going to show you how to use our system, the new Team Synergy Business Development System, to sell the living benefits and to educate people about the value of owning living benefits and how they can have that for about the same or perhaps even less money than they're currently paying. So the opportunity is the low-hanging fruit. There's 149 million individual life policies in force in the United States today, guys. To put that in perspective, there were only 60 million homes that had mortgages at the peak of refi mania in the mortgage business, and a lot of people made fortunes with all those refinances. Well, there's 2.5 times bigger opportunity here. 98% of those, at least, are the old-fashioned kind of life insurance that you actually have to die to use. We can usually replace those with full living benefits coverage. In other words, we can replace the amount of life insurance they have for about the same money they're paying and add full living benefits, which is a no-brainer. It just makes sense because it's 700% more value. Guys, if you don't understand clearly why it is 700% more value if you have full living benefits than an old-fashioned policy you actually have to die to use, then grab a pencil and write this down. According to the CDC, it is 7 times more likely that anybody will have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer and live than they'll just keel over and die on the spot. And when that happens, the next event that happens right after that, usually for the entire family, not just the person who got ill, is financial catastrophe. A study out of Harvard showed that 62% of all personal bankruptcies in the United States, guys, are a direct result of a major health challenge. And so what that means is if you have now coverage for this that you didn't have before, you have 700% more coverage for things that are likely to happen, right? And so you have 700% more coverage. That means you have 700% more value for the money you're already spending. That is what we call a no-brainer. So all we have to do is help people understand this, and then you will be able to sell policies. Why are we talking about selling policies on a power recruiting call? Because this is a business that's about making money. And the very best recruiting tool you can possibly have is proof of income. So you need to make money, and that's why you're here anyway, right? So it all fits together. So it's easy to establish trust with a basic term sale with full living benefits, just replacing whatever they have for something else. And we can go into the more advanced concepts of indexed universal life for tax-free retirement planning later. If you're brand new, then I highly recommend, Ron Petrinovich, our CEO, says exactly the same thing. We highly recommend that you focus on replacing these old policies. It's easy money. If you'll just focus on that, and then as people go through the needs analysis, if it turns out that they need an IUL, you can match yourself up with somebody that has a lot of knowledge on how to help them design a plan for that. So don't worry about that if you don't know, what you're doing about IULs. Term insurance is about as simple as it gets. So if you're brand new, focus on that. Start making some money by helping people replace those old-fashioned policies and upgrade to the new modern life insurance with full living benefits. You'll make money. That will make it easier to recruit and build your team. And you will be able to learn about the IULs as you grow in the business. It took me about 6 months to get my arms around the IUL concept and really understand it and have solid belief that I knew what I was doing. But because the term replacement was such an easy thing, I was able to make some money before I even started talking to people about IULs. So if you're brand new, don't worry about the complexity of the IUL. Don't worry about trying to help people change their paradigm about saving for retirement. Just go for the low-hanging fruit, which is the replacement policy of one of those old-fashioned policies with new modern insurance that gives them 700% more value. And really what it does, guys, is it fills a gaping hole in everybody's financial safety net, because almost nobody is prepared for the consequences of a major health event financially. And so we can plug that gap in their safety net. If we could get this message to all the people last year, for example, who had major health events before they had them, then 62% of all personal bankruptcies in America would have been avoided. Do you think that might have had a positive impact on the country? Of course. So what we're doing here is not just a business worthy of our energy, it's literally a cause worthy of our passion. And once you have knowledge about the fact that things have changed, then it's really a responsibility to share that information with everybody you possibly can, whether you sell them a policy or not. Because we've got to get the word out there in order to protect America's families from the financial catastrophe that follows a major health event. So your best friend in doing this is ADA. ADA is an acronym that's been around the marketing world forever. They taught me this in business school, and I can't tell you how many decades ago I went to business school. It's been, I think, at least 3. But it was taught then and still taught today because it works. In order to get somebody's interest, you first have to get their attention. So ADA is attention, interest, desire, action. What that means is you need to get somebody's attention, of course, before they'll even be able to learn about what you have. Once you have their attention, then you have to get their interests. And how do you get somebody's interest in anything, guys? All you have to do is know that everybody has the same 2 favorite radio stations. Everybody's favorite radio stations are MMFI and WII-FM. And those radio stations stand for Make Me Feel Important and What's in It for Me. Remember, it's about them. It's not about you. It's not about all the features of how great our products are. It's about the difference that our products or our opportunity can make in their life. It has nothing to do with you and nothing to do with features. It has to do with the benefits of either the product or the opportunity in their life. So that's how you get people's interest, is talk about WIFM and MIMFI. MIMFI is Make Me Feel Important. WIFM is What's in It for Me. Desire means that once you have their interest, you have to give them enough information so they desire what it is to do, what it is you want them to do. If you want them to take advantage of the ability to change out their old-fashioned life policy, they have to see the benefit in it to them to do that. And pretty much, I was in the mortgage business, of course, during the refinance years, and it didn't take very much effort. It was pretty easy when rates fell 2% to help somebody see the value in refinancing, especially since we could do it, no-cost loans by building the costs into the rate and still save them money. So when somebody can save money, cost them virtually nothing, or when they can increase the amount of value they get for money they're already spending, so in other words, they get a whole lot of value for nothing more, which is what we have here, then it's a pretty easy conversation once you're into that conversation and once they understand and believe what you have. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So once they have a desire, then they will take the action that you want them to take, which in this case is to take the time to do an application and see what we can do for them, and go ahead and if we can get a policy approved for them at the same as they're paying or a little bit more or a little bit less, which often happens, then obviously they're going to go ahead and do that because the value proposition is so huge. So, but you have to put these in the correct order. You can't start showing up and throwing up about what we have until you have somebody's attention and interest. If you show up and throw up and just try to do a data dump about how great it is, then people will shut you down right away because you haven't gone through the right steps. So it's attention first, then create some interest and curiosity. That will kindle desire if it's something they want, right? And then they will take the action. So take that in order, and I think you'll find things will work out well. And here's a couple of ways you can begin the process. First of all, just ask. And by the way, if any of you are old enough to remember the old Columbo TV show with Peter Falk, he played a kind of a frumpy detective that was, kind of he looked sort of like a loser, and he would be interviewing the bad guy who thought he was real smart, and he'd be verbally beaten by the bad guy, and the bad guy would think he'd gotten away with it, and Columbo would walk to the door, and then he'd turn around and he'd go, oh, by the way, and he'd point his finger at him, and he would nail him every time. It was great. If you haven't seen those shows, you can probably watch them on YouTube or something. They're quite good. But the by the way can be put into any conversation. So you could be talking about the fact that the Anaheim Ducks kicked the Stars' butts last night, which is a wonderful thing. And at the end of the conversation, I could weave into that, by the way, do you own life insurance? At the end of the conversation, as things are kind of coming to a close, you can say, by the way, and change the subject to anything you want. You can do this in any conversation. You can be talking about the weather, about the hockey games, about your kids. It doesn't matter. you just say, by the way, and that allows you to change the topic of conversation. So you can weave this into any conversation by saying, by the way, do you own life insurance? And then what do? You wait for an answer, right? If the answer is no, then we have a script for why. In other words, if somebody doesn't own life insurance, why? If somebody is single and they don't need to take care of aging parents and they don't have any kids and they don't have any wife or husband, then if they think life insurance is death insurance, I'll bet you anything they don't have it. Because why would you have life insurance you have to die to use when you have nobody to take care of when you die? Does that make sense? So there's a huge market of single people out there who now need life insurance and will want life insurance when they understand what it does for them, who never want a death benefit, but what they will want is living benefit. Life insurance you don't have to die to use, because they are just as likely as anybody else, perhaps more likely, to have a heart attack, stroke, or cancer and have huge crushing medical bills. And just like anybody else, they're going to have the same financial challenges to pay for those. So now life insurance is about living. It's not anymore about dying. Dying, obviously we're all going to die sometime. That happens to be a death benefit attached to it. But the real value and the much more likely need for it is the fact that it's 7 times more likely that we'll survive one of these major health events and just die from it. So if somebody does not have, when you say, by the way, do you own life insurance, and they say no, then go into our scripts and pull out the no life insurance script. Because now, the reason they don't is because they never perceived a need for it before. Now there is a reason why they might want to have it, so you want to have that conversation and just make them aware at least that that's there. If they say yes, which is most often going to be the case, then here's an elegant question that will plant a seed of curiosity. Remember, curiosity focuses attention, all right? When you're curious about something, you're thinking about it. So if they say, yes, I own life insurance, your next question is simply, well, is it the old-fashioned kind of life insurance you actually have to die to use, or is it the new modern kind? And then shut up. They're going to be curious, right? So when they say, well, yeah, it's life insurance, you have to die to use it, then just say, if there was a way that you could have access your life insurance without having to die first, would you want to learn about that? Now, it'd be awfully hard to say no to that. That's what's called a say yes question. It would be awfully hard to say no to that. So then you just simply lead them to your living benefits landing page in your system here in the Team Synergy Business Development System. So if you don't want to have to explain it to them, the system will not only explain it to them for you, it will also drip information on them over time, adding belief. It's called a belief building process or a nurturing process through autoresponders. We will be dripping on them with little short videos of people's testimonials about how living benefits have helped them, or some article from some papers. In other words, it'll be value-added content. They'll be brief. They won't be salesy at all. They'll just be educational to help people understand. Because, guys, we are on a crusade to educate America about how to retire with dignity with full living benefits, right? And one of the things that can prevent retirement is having one of these health catastrophes and having your entire financial life turned upside down. So this is a key part of a healthy retirement plan, is to not get destroyed financially by a medical challenge that you live through. So it all fits together. So we want to educate people about this. We do not want to try to sell or convince or persuade or do any of that. Because what we have is so good, you won't have to do that as long as you get that information to enough people. So the Sizzle Call is another way. If you don't even want to ask people if they have life insurance, just ask them if they have 2 minutes right now. So if you were to go to 641-715-3800, put in PIN number 19057# and push extension 1, you would hear a little sizzle message that's actually an invitation to the invitation, and I'll play that for you right now so you can hear it. Hang on actually, I take it back. I can't do that because I don't have three-way calling on this phone yet. But I'll let you do that yourself. Go to 641. Don't do it now. But after this call is done, go to 641-715-3800. The access code is 19057#, and that is the Team Synergy Voice Center. and then hit extension 1. We just added this yesterday, so the system continues to grow. What you'll find there is a little very short invitation that, I was just looking to see if I had the script here. I would just read it, but I don't. But it's just basically a 90-second message that lets people know what living benefits are about and why they shouldn't learn more, why they want to learn more about it. And then at the end of that call, let me get back on track here. So basically, the way you would invite somebody to one of these Sizzle calls is you would queue it up first. You'd call that number, get extension 1 all queued up, and then do a 3-way call to your potential candidate and say, hey, John, do you have 2 minutes right now? And John says, yes. Say, great. I've got something that I think you'll want to know about. Hang on 1 sec, and then just hit flash. And if you've got it queued up, it'll start right away. And if you're with them, you simply speed dial it on your cell phone and hand them the phone, same thing. So either way, they're going to hear a 90-second call, and then you're going to simply ask 2 quick questions. Did you know about this before you heard this call? Find out. The answer will be no, of course. And then say, great, well, is this something you'd like to learn more about? That is a very comfortable question, guys. Is this something you'd like to learn more about? So when they say yes, which most of them will, then you simply lead them to your living benefits education page, or the 5-minute teaser video specific to the niche market. So that could be your page, or it could simply be a standalone video, but you want to take them to a 5-minute video either in your system, that would be the landing page for your system, which has a 5-minute teaser video, or you would take them to a standalone video. In other words, be a tour guide to the information. Don't try to personally be a presenter of the information. There's 2 reasons for using technology to do the educating rather than you. First is that it's a tremendous time saver. And if you're brand new, you don't have to take time to learn a presentation. You just have to learn where they are, right? And people can be watching these 5-minute videos while you're calling the next person. So you can get a lot more done much faster by leveraging the technology. Secondly, if you are building a team, if you do presentations, people will be intimidated by that into thinking they have to do presentations. They are far, far less likely to join you than if you use technology to share the information, because everybody knows they could lead somebody to a video, right? But not everybody is comfortable doing a presentation, and they don't feel like they have enough knowledge to do it, and all those other things come into play. But if we have a system where your job is simply to be a tour guide through the system rather than to be a presenter of any of the information, then people look at what you're doing and they'll say to themselves mentally, consciously or subconsciously, I could do that. And that's exactly the experience you want them to have if you're building a team, is you want people to know they could do it. That's why we designed this, so anybody could do it. In other words, you could start this business today and be able to lead people to a good presentation on living benefits or a good overview of our business opportunity or anything else, as long as you know where the websites are, right? So the 5-minute teaser video, whether it's on the system here or just a standalone, is designed to pique their interests. And if they're not interested in what they see in the teaser video, guys, they're not a candidate. You just saved yourself a whole bunch of time. Finding out that somebody's not interested is a huge time saver. We're not trying to convince anybody. We're looking for people who are looking for us. So we're in the sorting business, not the selling business. Really important concept to get through your head, because that way there's no rejection. Because if somebody's not interested, that's fine. Finding out they're not interested is your goal. You're sorting, and you're sorting people. Your goal when you're sorting is simply to get them information and ask them if they're interested or not. And if you get an answer of yes or an answer of no, you've achieved your objective. And then, of course, you just work with the ones who say yes and wish the others well. And it's a very comfortable, non-salesy process if you look at it that way. And it takes all the pressure off. Our job is simply to be an information source, not a salesman closing anything. Let people close themselves. And you need to lead them through that process to get to that decision, but don't try to push or convince. It's just not comfortable and it doesn't work. So the 5-minute teaser video piques interest. The prospective client is then directed to opt in, if they're in our system, to learn more, and that's when they go into that nurture list. And so the system will begin to send them additional information about whichever funnel they came in. It will send them additional information appropriate to that. We have 2 product funnels right now. one for living benefits and one for tax-free retirement. We're about to add $1 million baby product concept funnel. That's not quite ready yet. And then we have 3 recruiting funnels currently. One is the generic funnel that we've used with Prosperity Central over the last year with such success. It starts off with a little 26-second teaser video with Bloom. And then we have one specific for insurance agents that Rick Wolf did a great job putting together, and one specific for mortgage loan originators that I put together because that's my background. So we have niche-specific funnels both for the products and for the recruiting so that you can literally target this, and we'll be adding, of course, funnels as we go for other niches. But and if you have, by the way, if you have any suggestions for that, then be sure to send them to admin@teamsynergyandfeg.com because we're very open to ideas of what should be the next things we add to the system here. But the prospective client's going to opt in to learn more. They're going to get into the appropriate funnel because they sent them to the right one. And then they're going to get a series of messages over time that will go on basically forever unless they opt out until they take further action. And the action that those drip messages are always intended to do, cause them to do, is to come back to you when they're ready. Because what you want to do, guys, your most precious asset is your time. So you want to spend your time with people that are ready and interested and educated. In other words, you want to spend your time with people who know what we do and want to talk to you now about it and learn more because they're interested. Wouldn't that be better than calling people and trying to get them interested? Much better use of time. So the system is designed to drip on people until they're ready, and then when they're ready, they're going to take that next step and ask you to contact them, and then the system will bring them to your attention. And this is not a system training. I'll be doing that on Tuesday if you want to join us for that. I'll be going over how that works. But it's a huge time saver. And remember I said the best recruiting tool you can have is a proof of income. The second best recruiting tool you can have for your warm market prospects, meaning people that you know, the second best recruiting tool that you can have is a good cold market system like this. In other words, the best use of a cold market system is warm market recruiting. I know that sounds weird, but the reason why is because everybody wants to know that when they finish talking to people they know, they've got a way to continue to build the business. We can obviously we built the business largely with people we didn't know in last year, all of the leaders. So the thing that we found, though, in the course of doing that was that having this system was the best possible way to attract people we do know who are sharp and business-oriented. So becoming comfortable with the system and using it with people you know as well as people you don't know is real important to the future of your business. So let's move on. I've got Jeff coming up in just about 4 minutes now. So I'll wrap this up and then we'll get into the training on how to get your deals closed fast. So after somebody clicks submit on the opt-in, they're going to access a page with more detailed information. And that second page is going to take us to the fourth step of ADA. Remember, ADA is attention, interest, desire, action. We're going to build their desire for what we have by giving them additional detailed information about the benefits and the solution for the specific niche. In other words, in the case of living benefits, they're going to see that Al Carty 13-minute video that includes the Jessica story cut, so that they'll see a testimonial from Jessica's story. They'll see Al's brilliant presentation of the value of living benefits. And at that point, once they see that, they'll be invited to contact you to learn more. And they'll fill out, if they're interested in doing that, they'll fill out a brief contact me form. At that point, the information goes into the record in your contact manager, and that causes them to appear in your prospect list for the first time. So the system will drip on people, guys, forever, unless they opt out, until they request to be contacted. At that time, when they are reaching out to you and saying, hey, I'd really like to talk to somebody about this, they will appear in a tab called Prospects, and if you see anybody in there, it means that somebody who's asking you to call them, and you haven't called them yet, because as soon as you call them, you're going to change the status, and they're going to go into a different category. So if they're in that Prospects tab in your back office, that means you have somebody who has filled in an online application and said, I'd like you to call me. So you want to prioritize, of course, those callbacks. So action. Now you have an educated and interested candidate has now asked you to call them, so call them, right? I mean, if you won't pick up the phone and call people, this is not going to work for you. So that's at the point at which you would call them. Before you do that, you want to review the history and the footprints in their contact record. Then call so that you know what they've seen and what they've done in the system. Then call your prospective client. Remember, they asked you to call, so this is a very comfortable call. And when you first contact them, you need to build a little bit of rapport, and you do that by listening to them. In other words, ask about them and listen. And as long as they want to talk about themselves, be a great listener and take notes. So it's not about, getting on the phone and slamming them with some product. It's about understanding them first. It's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people in Stephen Covey's great book is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. So you want to listen to them and understand them, because people don't care what you know, guys, until they know that you care. And care is spelled L-I-S-T-E-N. Just ask your kids, they know. So once you have the conversation, your goal is to set an appointment to get their information into the computer. And it's important to understand, if you're brand new in insurance, we cannot quote price, right? Because we don't know. All we can do is get their information in the computer so the underwriter can make an offer. So we can get into a range when we do illustrations and things and talk about what it might cost. Always quote a range, never quote a specific number, because you don't know. It depends on what the underwriter comes up with. And so if somebody's interested in this, what we want to do is get their information into the computer so the underwriter can give us an offer and we can know exactly what the company will do. And so your whole goal, you're not trying to sell a policy. You're not trying to get somebody to make a decision, because you don't have enough information for them to make a decision. In other words, you can't sell them anything while you're talking to them on the phone. And let them know that. Take all the pressure off. Say, look, I'm not going to sell you anything. I can't even do it. What we're going to do is we're going to let you know what we have, and if that sounds interesting, then we'll get your information into the computer so we can get an offer from the insurance company that's specific to you. Does that sound good? And if you put that comment, does that sound good, in the back of things, people usually say yes, if it makes sense what you're proposing. So, and by the way, if you say take an application, which means exactly the same thing, that is a negative word, application, because people always have fear of rejection. So they're not going to get rejected most likely. What they're going to get is an offer. We just don't know what that offer is going to be. So don't say take an application, say get your information into the computer. It's a small nuance in language that will make you a big difference over time. So then you want to follow that. Once you've gotten their information into the computer, and actually even even before you get that, you want to follow the 4-step sales process. Ron Petrinovich and Jeff Wardell teach the 4-step sales process, guys, and it is brilliantly good. It is so simple that it's just a logical 4-step process to take somebody through to educate them, get the information you need in order to help them, then design a plan for them along, and you can, of course, work with experienced people if you're brand new, so don't worry about not knowing what to do there. Well, this is a team game. We will help you. And then the last step is the presentation of the solution for the client. So if you will go to the IUL boot camp, which is a 3-hour training that we did back in November, I believe. It's on the company site. It's also on the team site somewhere. Go to the IUL boot camp and make a note here. Start at minute 57. The first little bit is an introduction. If you haven't seen it yet, you want to watch the whole thing. But if you just want to review that 4-step sales process, go to minute 57. That's where it starts. And I would do that a couple of times. This is not like Mission Impossible. It will not self-destruct after one listing. I try to remind myself to watch that at least once every month until I own it. And I'm still pretty new, I just only started the insurance business a little over a year ago, so I'm still learning this stuff as well. But that 4-step sales process training is so simple, and it's just excellent, and it works. So if you don't, my goal is to learn that well enough to teach it without notes. That way you own something. So I would encourage you, if you're serious about this business, learn that 4-step sales process well enough to teach it without notes. And also our system, if you learn our baseball diamond system well enough to teach it without notes, then you'll own the information and you'll be a confident leader. So, and people are attracted, guys, to confidence, right? So that's the end of what I have here. I'm going to stop the recording now